Mga idol at kabayan, breaking news! Bagong State Secretary ng Amerika nagbabala sa China. Sinabi nito na stop messing around with the Philippines. Nakamonitor ang Amerika 24/7 sa ginagawang provokasyon ng China. Ayon kay Secretary Marco Rubio, kung gusto ng China na magkaayos sila ng Estados Unidos, tigilan nito ang provokasyon laban sa Pilipinas.
If the Chinese are in fact serious about stabilizing U.S.-China relations, the actions they are taking now are deeply destabilizing. They are forcing us to take counteractions because we have commitments to the Philippines. They really need to stop messing around with Taiwan and with the Philippines.
Indian Coast Guard nagpakita ng suporta sa Pilipinas. Ang Indian Coast Guard SWANA lumapit sa Baho de Masinloc, Amerika, tudubantay sa mga nangyari sa lugar. Isang barko ng US Navy, isang eroplano ng US Navy at isang malaking drone ng US Navy ang nakatutok sa Baho de Masinloc. Nako, Department of Foreign Affairs biglang nakaramdam ng takot. Sinabi ni Department of Foreign Affairs Manalo na posibleng magkaroon daw ng kooperasyon sa Coast Guard ang Pilipinas at China. Ang tanong, paano tayo makikipag-usap at makikitungo sa China kung alam natin na hindi nila tayo pinapakinggan? Sinasaktan nila ang mga tauhan ng Philippine Coast Guard at sila ang ginagamit ng China para agawin ang teritoryo natin. Ano ang masasabi ng mga kabayan? Mas lalong nagiging intense ang mga nagaganap sa Baho de Masinloc dahil para sa China, ito daw ay kanila. Hindi rin papayag ang Pilipinas na ito ay maagaw ng kalaban sa atin. Kaya ginagawa at ipinapakita ng mga kaalyado ng bansa ang kanilang suporta sa 2016 Arbitral Award na ang Baho de Masinloc ay hindi sa China. Ito ay sakop ng Pilipinas. Matapos ang ginawang Joint Maritime Patrol ng Canada at Amerika malapit sa Baho de Masinloc, isa pang malapit na kakampi ng Pilipinas ang nagpakita ng suporta sa mga Pilipino. Indian Coast Guard na monitor na ito ay nasa di kalayuan ng Baho de Masinloc. Ito ay nilapitan ng China Coast Guard 3304 habang patuloy naman ang pag-shadow ng BRP Gabriela Silang o PVA 301 sa China Coast Guard 5901 The Monster sa pagitan ng Zambales at Baho de Masinloc. Ipinakita din ng ICG SWANA na tulungan ang Pilipinas sa mga iligal na pananakop ng China. Ito ay bunga ng pinalakas na ugnayan at kooperasyon ng India at Pilipinas sa kasalukuyan. Tuloy-tuloy naman ang presensya ng Amerika sa Baho de Masinloc na ispatan din ng open source. Ngayong ika-16 ng Enero, nasa di kalayuan ang USS Effective ay naroroon nagpapatrol. Hindi lang yan mga kabayan, patuloy din ang aerial patrol ng malaking drone ng US Navy, ang MQ-4C Triton at ang P-8A Poseidon sa Baho de Masinloc. Sa katunayan, ang bagong itinalagang State Department Secretary ng Amerika na si Senator Marco Rubio, alam ng Estados Unidos ang ginagawa ng China laban sa Pilipinas. Babala ng bagong US State Secretary, stop messing around with the Philippines. Inamin ng bagong sekretary na ginagawa ng China sa Pilipinas ay isang napakadelikado dahil kapag sinaktan ng China ang Pilipinas, bubuelta ang Amerika sa kanila.
But I think stability is critically important. Here's the one thing I would point to here with regards to stability. If the Chinese are in fact serious about stabilizing U.S.-China relations and finding avenues of which we can be cooperated and avoid conflict, then they will not do anything rash or irrational when it comes to Taiwan or the Philippines for that matter. The actions they are taking now are deeply destabilizing. They are forcing us to take counteractions because we have commitments to the Philippines and we have commitments to Taiwan that we intend to keep. And so if they want to destabilize the relationship, or they want to help at least create some pathway for stabilization of our relationship with them, even as we remain engaged in global competition, and in some cases more adversarial than others, they really need to stop messing around with Taiwan and with the Philippines because it's forcing us to focus our attention in ways we prefer not to have to. On the security front, look, an event in the Indo-Pacific, say, let's leave Taiwan out of it for a moment and say it's the Philippines. Okay, in the last 48 hours, there's this massive, I don't even know how to describe it, but this massive ship that the Chinese have built that's like headed towards the Philippines, and the Philippines feels threatened by it, rightfully so. We've seen this on a daily basis with the harassment and so forth, but on a daily basis. If, God forbid, there is some miscommunication or some inadvertent conflict emerges there, and we have obligations to them, the impact that will have on the entire globe, the impact that it will have on the entire globe is enormous, and that includes Europe. So they have a selfish vested interest in seeking for the Chinese to curb their behaviors. I would also point to the Europeans that what the Russians have done with Ukraine would not have been possible without the assistance of China, whether it's the sharing of technology or aid in evading sanctions or selling their oil in secondary markets. The Chinese have been hidden, but clear to everyone watching, partners in the Russian endeavor.
Yeah.
And the Europeans know this, and they need to be continually reminded of it, because it reveals the nature of who we're dealing with.
Senator Scott, first of all, let me say, Senator Rubio, this is a long laundry list of crises. You've earned yourself one of the hardest jobs in America, but after serving with you for so many years, I'm confident you are the right person we need to take on these threats. Thank you very much.
Good to have you here. I've got a great view here from the dais.
You and I have also had a good working relationship for many years. I believe you have the skills and are well qualified to serve as Secretary of State.
Senator Rubio, congratulations on your nomination to this very, very difficult job.
We welcome the Chinese Communist Party into the global order, and they took advantage of all of its benefits, and they ignored all of its obligations and responsibilities. Instead, they have repressed and lied and cheated and hacked and stolen their way into global superpower status, and they have done so at our expense and at the expense of the people of their own country.
Senator, you've been a strong voice for American leadership, and
So if we don't change course, we are going to live in a world where much of what matters to us on a daily basis, from our security to our health, will be dependent on whether the Chinese allow us to have it or not. That's an unacceptable outcome.
Thank you, Senator Rubio.
And as a result, I think we need to wrap our head around the fact that unless something dramatic changes, like an equilibrium where they conclude that the costs of intervening in Taiwan are too high, we're going to have to deal with this before the end of this decade.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Senator Rubio. And
We are once again called to create a free world out of the chaos. And this will not be easy. And it will be impossible without a strong and a confident America that engages in the world, putting our core national interests once again above all else.
The thing that flowed from that was the indictment on the same day of Netanyahu plus a Hamas character.
I think, first of all, the whole premise of his prosecution is flawed, behind the process of it and the precedent that it sets, which is a very dangerous precedent for the United States of America, by the way, because this is a test run. This is a trial run to see, can we go after a head of state from a nation that's not a member? If we can go after them and we can get it done with regards to Israel, they will apply that to the United States at some point. And in fact, there have been threats to do so in the past. But the premise of the prosecution itself is completely and utterly flawed.
and I'm really confident you'll be a strong Secretary of State.
How can you coexist? How can any nation state on the planet coexist side by side with a group of savages like Hamas? They have to defend their national security and their national interest, as I pointed out in my opening statement.
Department of Foreign Affairs biglang nakaramdam ng takot. Sinabi ni Department of Foreign Affairs Manalo na posibleng magkaroon daw ng kooperasyon sa Coast Guard ang Pilipinas at China.
Sir, what do we hope to achieve by re-establishing yung Coast Guard to Coast Guard na
Well, we hope to establish a means of cooperation and undertaking, let's say, positive activities. But that will have to be agreed in any memorandum of understanding between the two.
Is this
but
meant?
It's cooperative in nature, of course.
Is it meant to avoid escalation?
Well, as I said, I don't want to prejudge the final outcome, but it's going to be aimed at promoting cooperation.
Sir, but Philippines will demand the pull-out of the monster ship at the BCM.
Excuse me?
The Philippines will demand the pull-out of the monster ship.
Well, we will
at the
certainly
BCM.
raise the concerns we have, including that.
Including the withdrawal.
Well, no, the concerns we have.